And I'm back with more Apollo Justice. It's time to end this trial today. Got a lot of time to record, so I'm going to try and get this done and then start case 4-4 on another day. Well, this is it. Today's the day it all goes down. And then there was yesterday. I think I know why. Time to bring down a little justice. No! What was that? He is heard but unseen. Who's that talking? Violent Grammarier! Grammary! I exclaimed as he walked in the door. Normally. You aren't the witness today, are you, Uncle Valent? A preposterous proposition. How could I stand to stand upon the stand? Why, my secrets would be free for the plucking. I might even have to sign autographs. That is why I intend to remain hidden for the entire day. Ooh, with vanishing magic? Indeed. I will jump upon an express train and express myself to the next town over. But before I go, a word of warning. Warning? What? A grand grammary glamour resides at the foot of all that happened. Do not forget this truth. A glamour? A spell, a sorcery, a great illusion. Miss Trucy, though it pains me to part so, I need to get in line for a ticket. Farewell! And there he goes. Sure seemed happy about that illusion thing. Oh, big illusions are the bread and butter of a magician. You can't pull off a show without one. The big illusion is always a spectacle to remember. Usually, it involves cutting up things like people or the Eiffel Tower, anything really. So he was talking about what we saw at the concert. Lamiroir's disappearing act. And Prosecutor Gavin's exploding guitar. I wonder what he meant by being at the root of all that happened. Well, it's about time. Shall we go? Oh, excuse me, sir. Yes? Scheduled starting time for the trial has been changed. Trial will not be commencing until 10:30. What? Did something happen? This is a first. It was by the judge's request. Some urgent personal business. Has he stayed up until tonight? Apparently he's visiting the hospital again. The hospital? I believe it was mentioned by the Chief Justice, or that the Chief Justice's son is unwell. Apparently his condition worsened considerably this morning. Chief Justice's son. Oh, that's right. I remember yesterday morning he said he had to go visit him after the trial. If you care to read about it yourself. Incuritis. We knew about that. Where have I heard that before? I'll let you read the article for us, Apollo. Just leave the TV guide page for me. Try not to lose the page with the funnies. Duh. My apologies for the delay. Court is now in session for the trial of... How do you say his name again? Machi Telbaye. A prospect fortissimo. Or suspect fortissimo. Right, it's his trial in any case. The defense is prepared, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready to rock. Is something wrong? No, well, yes. It's just, I've been friends with the Chief Justice since we were students. Pains me to see him going through such a difficult time.
Incuritis, was it?
An article said there was no known cure. Here, Judge, let me say, with all honesty, I feel your pain. But now is not the time for tears. Now is the time for law. Indeed. We left off at quite a juncture yesterday. Quite a sensational ending. Who would have thought that Darien would guest star in this season's cliffhanger? As a suspect. I asked the prosecution to look into that matter. Please tell the court your findings. Darien Crescent is a member of my band, the Gaviners. He is also a detective, making the current charges serious indeed. Yet, after investigation, I found no cause to alter our case or file new charges. And your reason is? Weren't you aware, Herr Forehead? He has an impeccable alibi. An alibi? Let us review the facts again, shall we? Concert held on the night of the shooting was 3 sets. Gaviners ripped up the stage during the first one. For the second set, our guest took center stage. The only performers appearing were myself, Lamiroir, and Machi, along with a drummer and bassist for a total of 5. The shooting in the dressing room, however, took place during the third set. Lamiroir and the defendant had left the stage, and the Gaviners were already rocking. That's when the 2 shots rang out to the scene of the crime. Shots heard by Detective Emma Skye, mind you. And Apollo. You heard them too, right? Sure did. Furthermore, Lamiroir herself witnessed the moment of the crime. Well, perhaps I should say she heard the moment of the crime, when she claims to have heard Mr. Lutus and Detective Crescent talking. But that's impossible! Detective Crescent was... Precisely. He was on stage getting his groove on, no less. Voila. A perfect alibi. Does the defense have anything to add to this? It's true. When I heard those gunshots, he must have been on stage. Still, something here doesn't quite add up. It appears the defense has no objections. I believe we can safely say that Darien Crescent's alibi has been acknowledged, which means that she was sadly mistaken. Her testimony cannot be true. Very well, of course, if we disregard her testimony, then I see no evidence keeping us from declaring a verdict. If, indeed, there are no objections.
Uh-oh. If he declares a verdict now...
This case is airtight. Lamiroir might have been lying to protect Machi. How could I rely on her testimony? Wait. What about yesterday at the detention center? Machi was trying to tell us something, I know it. Maybe the best thing to do is ask him under oath. Very well, the court finds the... What was his name? Your Honor! No, that wasn't it. It was like Marquis or Mr. Justice. Your Honor, before you declare a verdict, I would like to call another witness. Exactly who else you gotta hear from? A witness who, until now, had not been given a chance to speak at court. Because he doesn't speak English. You don't mean... I do. The defense calls defendant Machi Tobier to the stand. What? But he doesn't speak English. Then we'll use an interpreter. Interpreter? I'm afraid you'll have to look elsewhere. I only speak a few phrases, such as I love you and where is the toilet. The defense would request Lamiroir as the interpreter. Lamiroir? But there's a possibility she's protecting the defendant. But she'd be interpreting. Why would she lie? Well, this is most unusual. Bravo. Judge, the prosecution agrees with the defense request. If she lies, I'll be able to tell. Even my limited knowledge of the language should be enough for that. Well, if both prosecution and defense are for this, I see no little cause for refusal. Finally, some progress. Bailiff, please show defendant and Lamiroir to the witness stand. I suppose there's a first time for everything. Shall we proceed? Your name to begin with, if you would, Lamiroir.
Yes. He says Machi Tobier, the defendant.
Well, this is certainly a first for this courtroom. Not that we really needed an interpretation of that message.
So far, so good.
Very well, if you would.
Huh?
If I would what? Would what? You called the defendant to the stand, did you not? What would you have him testify about?
What do I want him to testify about?
I hadn't thought that far yet.
Apollo! Aren't you going to ask him what he was about to tell us yesterday? How can I if I don't know what he was saying? Excuse me, a moment if I may speak.
Yes?
Just now, Machi said there is something that he wishes to testify.
He wants to testify about something? What could that be? What sort of testimony is he talking about?
One moment.
Suspense is killing me.
What?
What? Well?
According to Machi, he has proof of his innocence.
What? This is a surprise.
Yahoo! Victory, we did it!
Well, this is sounding too good to believe, and I know what that usually means. Well, if that's true, this is vital testimony. Please testify to the court.
Very well. He says that word of Mr. Latus's death came as a great shock. But if the killing truly did follow the lyrics of my song, he could not have done it. He says that because the lyrics are in English, he does not understand them.
I see. He wouldn't have understood the lyrics to the song. That would prevent him from following them so closely. I wondered what he meant by proof. Why, we'd only have to ask Lamiroir the meaning of the song. Did you ever explain the lyrics to the song to him?
I did tell him generally what the song was about, but never in so much detail, and he never asked.
Has my oft-repeated warning already fled that forehead? Lamiroir might be protecting the witness. Well, anyway, let us proceed with the cross-examination. Mr. Justice?
Yes.
Something's hidden in my testimony, I know it. All I have to do is trust my bracelet to tell me where. It worked yesterday. It'll work today. Machi. You can't fool my eyes. You glanced toward her the very moment she said English. Why? And don't bother interpreting that. He understands me. Machi, tell the truth. You can understand it, can't you? What are you saying? Of course he can. Must he continue the charade? Mr. Justice, Machi says I knew the word English. Before coming to this country, he heard me speaking it. He learned the name for this language, that is all. Give me a break. Is that such an unusual word to understand? Is that such an unusual word to understand? Do you not know Espanol? Well, I mean, she's got it there, but... Well, yeah, but... I'm sorry, but he truly does not understand your language. Well, then explain this. How does he know the crime followed the lyrics? Have you always been such a suspicious-minded lad? It is simple. So simple it hardly requires an explanation. He read about it in the newspaper. The newspaper? Virginia Daily Bugle. You can buy it in this country these days, you know. They've already begun to repeat this report on this case in our homeland. I was right. What is wrong? Your eyes are quite fierce all of a sudden. Machi's lying. Maybe it's time to show him proof he's lying.
Take that!
I have here a Virginian newspaper. The Virginian Daily Bugle, as a matter of fact. Indeed, there is a feature about the article. Could you read this for me? That's right. Doesn't mention the lyrics, does it? What is this all about? I'm sorry. You couldn't have read about the lyrics in a Virginian newspaper. Uh-oh. Putting him on the spot there. What does this mean? Or what does this mean? But I don't see how it's possible. Oh, I know. He must have heard the lyrics when the police were doing their questioning. Not possible. The subject of the lyrics was not brought up in police questioning. I read the full report myself. So the lyrics weren't in the newspaper and the police didn't mention them. The only place you could have heard them was in the courtroom. In English, no less. The witness will explain himself. Machi says. Yes. It is true I read the newspaper. But this is not where I learned it. I was mistaken. But now I remember. You remember? He says he heard the lyrics from me. What? Is that true? Yes, I'm afraid I'd forgotten it myself. Then it looks like he's been jumping to conclusions again. It seems so. I was onto something, I know it. Can't let this chance slip away. Time is an issue today, Mr. Justice. Are you finished with the cross-examination? What are you gonna do, Apollo? I'm gonna keep on cross-examining. I better have an angle. Or else. Huh? My bracelet's still reacting. Your Honor, please allow me to continue. If you must, you must. Very well, witness. I understand.
Gotcha!
Lamiroir, I'm currently cross-examining Machi. Why should you be so uncertain? Me? Uncertain? You swallowed the very moment you told the court it was I who explained. I see there's little point in trying to hide anything. Are you indeed protecting someone? That is not a question with a simple answer. To tell the truth, I do not believe it myself. And then allow me to answer for you. Well, gee, I wonder who.
Take that!
Lamiroir, you're protecting him, aren't you? That's why you lied and told us you had explained the crime. I don't fault you for trying to help, but this is not the way. Machi, I believe you didn't really do it. I trust you. But you lied to us twice. And now you have Lamiroir relying on your behalf. If this is gonna work, you have to trust me too. Your two lies cover up a simple truth. You understand English. You have to. Uh-oh. I don't think I prepped this kid's voice. Witness, is this true? Do you understand English? Yes. A little only. So it's probably going to be a lot like Olga's fake accent, would be my guess. What? First he could see, now he could talk. And you did not know any of this? No, I did not. It is quite a surprise. How many secrets is this witness hiding? This is last. Machi, could you tell us what really happened? No shooting. I did no shooting. So you weren't in the dressing room when I heard those gunshots, correct? Apparently the answer to the question ain't simple either. I was in dressing room behind desk. Manager, he on floor. Which would be after the shooting, right? Then there was voice. Voice? Voices? Was it you and Emma? So when Machi went to the dressing room, Mr. Latouche had already been shot? And then we came through the door. Panel high up. I take off. Run away! Run away! So it was you who escaped through the air vent. As the prosecution has held up all along, no less. The defendant has admitted to being on the scene. Might we take this as a confession?
Objection!
No! He's clearly denied he did it! No shooting! Manager on floor! Already on floor!
Objection!
The victim had already been shot? I find that hard to believe. The defendant understood the song lyrics. He was at the scene of the crime. This can only mean one thing. He is the shooter. Does the defendant have anything to say about this? He's clammed up, Apollo. Then let us ask Mr. Justice. Will you require any further testimony? Wait, no, of course there is. That cocoon has to have something to do with it. Machi, please, tell us the truth for your own sake. No, no more speak. Not to any of you. So much for your precious trust, Hair Forehead. Hey, you were the one who didn't believe him. Regardless, this brings us to an impasse. It does seem that the defense and the defendant are at odds. I doubt we are likely to learn anything of value should we continue. I see no other course but to declare a 5-minute recess. The defense will work things out with the defendant so we might proceed. Shut up, phone. I'm gonna turn it down so I don't hear that. Apollo. Eustace. That's justice. Better learn to say it if you ever gonna want to get some. Believe I know shooting. Claims Mr. Latouche was already on the ground when he entered the room. Maybe it was a trap and he walked right into it? Suddenly, I hear a revolver. Close. Very close. Then I hear a voice. You heard gunshots? Yes, it's true. I hear a revolver, but only sound. So you're saying you went into the dressing room and found Mr. Latouche already dead and then heard shots? That's true. So, you were at the scene of the crime when you heard those shots? And you escaped through the air vent? I know. What do you know? I know if I'm opening vent, I can leave stage and backstage. So the vents went both stage and the backstage area. Is that what he means? Hey, he's right. Look, Apollo! Oh yeah, but how did you know it was connected like that? Wait, I bet his father was the one who arced it. No. I hear this from Magician. Magician? Don't look at me! Magician? Well, at least we're clear on one thing. He didn't shoot him. What does that leave us with? We're supposed to say he went into the room to find the body, then heard the shots? That one's going to go over well in court. Not. Apollo, you're his defense. You're supposed to believe what he says, even lies. That's what Daddy always told me. I'll just pretend you misheard him every time. So what do we do? You sure you won't testify? I know talking, no. Well, it's worth a shot. A cocoon. Of course he's scared. Oh well, I guess we'll just have to try a different approach. That's the spirit, Apollo. So what's your plan? If Machi won't testify about it, we'll have to get someone else to. Someone else? I think we're out of time. Let's get back in there. Right! Court is now back in session. Mr. Justice, have you sorted things out with the defendant? Yes, Your Honor. We had a good talk. Very well. So will he testify? The defendant will not testify. What? Shame, and here I thought this was your big chance to turn the case around. Actually, it is. The defense would like to approach this case from a different angle. A different angle? If Machi won't testify, then I know who will. I would like to cross-examine the witness to this case, Lamiroir. Again? What are you up to now? I thought we determined yesterday that her testimony was insubstantial. There's nothing you can... She was taken to the hospital yesterday with injuries. What happened? She was assaulted. Assaulted? Someone wanted her dead. Thankfully, she was able to save herself. What? I've heard no such report. Prosecutor Gavin. Why would anyone be out to kill her? Can you think of a reason? Well, think of how she's known in our country. A singer from overseas who doesn't speak English, yes. Yet someone tried to keep her mouth shut. Who could that have been? You don't think. I do. It was the same person who shot Mr. Latouche. The killer was afraid of her, and afraid of what she might say. The defense believes that something was hidden in her testimony yesterday. Something that the killer doesn't want getting out. So am I to understand this is what you're saying? Namely, that there's a nugget of truth in her testimony? A nugget we've yet to uncover? Exactly. If she was attacked, this has serious implications. Very well. There were some vague points in her testimony during yesterday's trial. Perhaps we did not inquire as deeply as we might have into some. The court will hear her testimony once more. Lamiroir, I must apologize. I must ask you to stand again and speak. You need not apologize. I know that Machi is innocent, and I will do all that I can until the court realizes this. Let's review your testimony from yesterday. You told us that you heard 2 gunshots and the shooter's voice through the window, and that the voice belonged to Darien Crescent, yes? That is correct. At which point I proved she could not be. She couldn't have heard any of those things. The small window at the scene was closed and was found to be quite soundproof. You have nothing to say to that, Mr. Justice? I don't know exactly what yet, but I do know there's something there. There is, it seems, much you don't know. And yet it is my duty to hear him out. Perhaps the witness would be so kind as to testify once more to the court. Of course, Your Honor. What I've heard. Okay. So I'm going to save it here. We're kind of at the halfway point of the Machi portion of this trial. We still got a little ways to go. So we've done Machi's thing. Lamiroir is again here. So I'm going to take a short break and then I'll be right back to this.